Ready.
All right, we're on.
Good morning. Today is Monday, June 6, 2022. We're here for the Orange Township regular Board of Trustees meeting. I'll call this meeting to order. Ms. Kraft, could you please call roll?
Mr. Grumbles.
Here.
Ms. Knapp. Here. Mrs. Faust.
Here.
Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Michelle, do you want to switch this a bit and handle the agenda changes? I think some will cover public comment. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So for agenda changes, I would like to move item under operations, letter E, universal changing tables to the beginning. Following that, we will do the consent agenda, and then after the consent agenda, I'd like to bump up the fire report, and there will actually be two acceptances of donations. And after the fire report, I'd like to, I guess it's up to the board. We have two executive sessions today, so I definitely want to cover the first one, or the second one actually, under item executive session B, pending litigation. But if you want to do both of them at the same time, we can do that as well.
I'm okay with that. I think if we start with executive session, we can handle B first. We have legal counsel can take off if they're done with the business here, and then move to A as a second part of that.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right.
Oh, and I'm sorry, one more thing, or two more things. Under administrative report, item G, we'll be striking that. We are not ready for the benefits broker discussion. And Trustee Knapp, did you want to still discuss the Williamsville Cemetery?
Yeah.
So under new business or old business? Is that fine?
That's what?
The Williamsville Cemetery.
Okay.
Is that old? And then the chief came to me a little earlier. He has one resolution to add for a second donation he received for 3 Kroger gift cards. So when we get to that, if we could add another resolution in there for accepting those.
All right.
Okay, that's it.
Outside of the planned presentation that we're moving to the beginning, is there any other public comment today? Hang on. Yep. All right. Hearing none, we'll invite you up, Kim, to go ahead and present. If you can just state your name and address for the record, and then the folks with you can do the same when they come up.
Sure. I'm Kim Bolter, and I live at 6441 Spinnaker Drive, Lewis Center. And I just want to say good morning, trustees. My name is Kim Bolter, and my family and I live in Orange Township. Is it okay if I go ahead and go, Ben?
What's that?
I'll go ahead and go with my comments.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. When our son Aiden was born, we knew our lives are going to be different. He is 9 years old now, and he has cerebral palsy. Our lives are full of doctor's appointments, physical therapy sessions, adoptive equipment, IEP meetings, and a lot of time trying to figure out how to adapt his environment to meet his needs, because the world isn't built for people like Aiden in mind. Despite this, we are determined that our son be included in regular life as much as possible. If we go to the park, for example, or do any family outing, we want him to come with us. No family wants to leave one family member out due to lack of access. Due to our son's medical conditions, he uses diapers, as do many other individuals with disabilities in our area. However, he outgrew baby changing tables long ago. He, along with many other community members, need a universal changing table. These tables usually support up to 400 pounds and are around 70 inches long and 30 inches wide, give or take. This gives anyone, no matter their age, height, weight, a safe and dignified place to change. Babies, toddlers, teens, and adults alike can use them. Currently, we're faced with a hard choice every day. which is to stay at home and miss out on fun experiences and social opportunities, or leave home and have nowhere to change our son when needed. Caregivers resort to laying their loved one on the floor of the restroom, which is not only unsanitary and undignified, it exposes them to anyone else in the restroom and can be unsafe for the caregiver who is lifting their loved one if they're not able to help lift themselves. If we as a community decided to replace all baby changing tables with universal changing tables, anyone who needed this would be free to leave home and enjoy community spaces, just like everybody else does. As of right now, they do not have that freedom to participate fully in our community. This is wrong and it needs to change. I'm asking the trustees to install one height adjustable universal changing table in the men's bathroom at Orange Township Hall Park, and also one for the North Orange pool. I recently visited the pool and believe there are several good possibilities for where to install it. Parent advocates like me in many states are speaking up for our loved ones on this issue. I will be approaching many other places to install these tables as well, such as Liberty Township, the City of Westerville, the Columbus Airport, COSI, Ohio State University, etc. State laws have already been passed in Arizona, California, and New Hampshire, requiring changing tables to be installed, and legislation has been proposed in many other states. If everyone does their part, we will have a community that is more welcoming and accessible to everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. When did this first come? When we met outside? What, a year ago?
When we met outside, yes,
Yeah.
about a year ago.
About a year ago.
I started the change.org position last August,
Okay.
I believe.
But when we met, you were at the park here,
Yes.
and I think just going for a walk or something like that, we were actually taking the room over here apart at the time and stopped by and just struck up conversation. I think I was moving, helping.
You were
I was,
moving some cedar.
yeah,
And
exactly,
I had my
yeah.
son Aiden with me
Yeah.
at the time, yeah.
And got to meet Aiden, and committed to listening to you and advocating. And I personally still support your efforts. And it's different when you see firsthand, watching you go through the process of just to go and visit a park. So I appreciate all the effort that you put into this, the research you've done, and the data, and presence today from the county speaks to how hard you're working on this, and would invite the rest of the board to ask any questions they have. And then I would also like representative from the county board to come up and speak, because I have some questions too, and I think it'll help provide insight. So after you're done, and anyone else that wants to talk about it too.
Thank you.
Erica, Snap.
Him and I met probably about a month ago with Alex, Resignation, our project manager, and so we had done a lot of brainstorming on how to make it beneficial for your families and families with special needs kids, and then also to keep our parks accessible to the whole community, basically. So this was I think a meeting of the minds, and so I'm definitely on board with where we are today.
Yeah, and although I have not met with you, we've talked amongst ourselves all at the township, and I do support the efforts. It was a concern that I had not been aware of or even considered in the past until you brought it to us. So I learned quite a bit, and at first I was a little bit concerned about being able to lock the door to a restroom and be in there because teenagers and things, but then someone pointed out that a lot of other places have family restrooms that lock, and then they Dublin and things, and has not been a problem. So I guess if it became a problem with other people creating issues, then we could address it, but I'm all for it at this point.
Great. Thank you for your support.
Bowers. And I appreciate you and Alex and the team digging in too. I know there was a lot of different. You provided the board and the township team with a ton of information, so that's so appreciated, because oftentimes we get a request. In operations, I would say a complaint versus a concern, and the difference between the two, the way I define the two when I led teams in the private sector, is that a complaint is just a short-sighted gripe, right? A concern has action behind it. and research and a solution. And so you did that, and I appreciate it. And we found more information and brainstormed ourselves. And
Great.
the fact that the county board's here to represent this effort speaks to the authenticity of all of that and all the resources out there trying to make this thing come to action. So I appreciate that too.
Yes.
And I'll just add one more thing. I've been a mom for 30 years. So it occurred to me that back in the day, there were not changing tables in most restrooms. And they were just in the women's when they existed. So I recalled being on an airplane and changing my baby, literally on a chair or on the ground. A much smaller, an infant. But that alone was such a hassle and so humiliating, to have to do it in public. So I can relate to that.
And there's still
Thank
in places when we had children where if you go in the men's restroom, it's not.
Yeah.
There's not changing
There's
tables.
still not, but there were, and there
It's
was literally
crazy.
none. I mean, it was, back in the
Sorry,
day.
honey. I can't.
Now you still did it. Back in the day, though.
So
Thank you so much for
Yep.
your support and for taking the time to read through all the mountain of information I gave you and
Yeah.
process it and think
Very,
about it.
very informative.
And I will say too, I probably have a little bit of a unique experience. One of the persons here with you today is a family friend of ours, and our children met in kindergarten and have, spent good time and been in class together several times. But they bonded, and they're very close. I would say emotional relationship. And so, despite having experienced that, all of the challenges obviously still didn't resonate because you don't experience those and you don't see them firsthand. So when we go to visit, we'll go to your home for the holidays, or we'll, go out to an event, but you don't see the part that you don't experience. But when I saw you that day, and I could tell you were working pretty hard to just go to the park, it changes your perspective a lot, and it made me think like, oh gosh, I didn't realize everything that you had to deal with just to go out. So.
Yeah.
And another family I went to college with. So it was interesting when we sat down and talked. It's like, oh, I know that person, that Mark
Yeah.
Shute. So
Yep.
I played rugby with Mark. And I think there's a lot more. And that's why gentleman behind you I want to bring up here and have him talk to the board.
And I
Thank
think
you.
we'll need to meet again just to nail down where we want it at the pools. Kim did some research here recently. But
Yep, and we'll
that
be-
one I don't think is finalized.
We'll need a consensus item,
Yep.
consensus of, as far as the action to
Want to.
take. Yeah.
We'll get that for you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank
Please state your name and address for the record.
Good morning. My name is Chase Waits at 7991 Columbus Pike in Lewis Center. I work with the Delaware County Board of Developmental Disabilities. I'm here just to talk about our accessibility grant. I know I spoke a few weeks ago about this as well, but we do provide a matching grant to government agencies and nonprofit organizations of up to $3,000 per project. So just to put that back on your radar, that we do have funds available through our board for any type of project like this, anything that supports accessibility and inclusion in the community.
Is that per table, or does this count as one? If there's two tables, does that count as one project, or is that?
Nope, that would be two projects.
That's very nice.
Yep.
Good to know.
And just since you both mentioned airports, I think that's a really important point to bring up. Just airports in general, we think about what's available there for families, and we see pet relief stations in every airport in this country, but there's about 20 airports that provide changing tables for adults or people that have the need for universal changing tables. So just to give you a link between the disparity and the need.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's something that a lot of people just are not aware of.
Mhm.
People don't talk about it.
Absolutely.
With the grant, I think some of the options we looked at would be a very reasonable expense
Yeah,
for the
isn't it? How
township.
much is it? Like less
There
than
were several.
4,000?
There were several options that were around the $4,000, even less, Mark. For
If we're
some
looking at that $4,000
Yeah.
mark.
Yeah,
But
so
then there
maybe
may be some
almost-
additional costs with if we have to move
installation
electric
or
installation
retrofitting.
and that kind of stuff. So
The
And
type
we
spec
do have
still-
examples in our office too. So if anyone wants to stop by and see the tables that we have in our office, you
I think
can see that we have the power lift.
Some are.
the one
some
we're
aren't.
asking for is electric.
Oh, it is.
Because that way it can go up and down. You can remove
Oh, I didn't
the.
realize that.
That's the ideal solution because then
That's
it
the
fits
one that's-
everybody's needs
That's
versus.
Oh, so but most of it would be paid for, I guess, other than the
Well,
installations.
So there would be the cost of the grant. So I'd like Silas to kind of explain this, but it seems like we're discussing two different options: one here at the township hall and one at the pool. And we've been looking at the township one hall one first, as we thought that could be more of our pilot one. With the being at the pool, it is a seasonal use there, so that's something that you guys would have to consider. But the township hall one is probably the most feasible one at this time. And Silas, if you can just kind of explain what we have some estimates in the works, but we haven't finalized the exact breakdown of the cost yet.
Yeah, as you mentioned, there's some retrofitting we'll have to do in the existing restroom there. And there's obviously some planning to take place before this were to go into play. The security and the electrical upgrades with our security contractor, with the magnetic and electronic locks work, there'd probably have to be some bypass or something worked into that. Just a guesstimate on that and all the stuff that would go into it. My guess is we're probably going to be, with the grant match, somewhere in the neighborhood of about $4,000 out of a cost to the township.
Okay. So $3,000 from the grant and $4,000 from us.
Yes,
Per table.
correct. Well, per restroom we outfit, yeah. Yeah. And that's, again, just estimates based on what we know from the security contractor and the electrical upgrades we'll have to make. So we can get a little closer to something actual once we get closer to the actual installation.
And where Kim and I was looking here this weekend, as far as like the pool area, she said there was a restroom that's more for the community room.
Yeah.
So that's where she was looking in that.
Wait, it would not be at the park restroom then? It would be in the pool? It wouldn't be at the.
It's the first I've heard of it. I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
we just had to figure that out. There was a number of different spots.
There might
Okay.
not be room at the park restroom, but
yeah.
that would seem to be more likely because you probably go to the park more often.
Yeah, so I went yesterday just to look around the pool to see what options we could have, because I know the family restroom is too small to fit an adult changing table without infringing on the door swing and becoming a hazard. So there were a few options I found. So next to the office, there were 2 rooms that it seems like all the lifeguards use kind of interchangeably for like a big closet. So I thought one could be maybe repurposed into a dedicated first aid space that could be used not only for having an adult changing table, or it could be sort of more of a medical cot that moves up and down. It could be used for anyone who had an injury or who became ill while at the pool. And the other room which is where all the lifeguards were, could be used for storing their things and the lifeguards on break and everything. The second option, that one, if we went with that option, we could do a less expensive table that sits on the floor. It wouldn't need to be wall mounted, and those types of tables we can get for around $2,000. And that could also be like a plug-in type table, and it already has a door with, I think, a lock on it, I assume. So that one would be easy. That would be the easiest option, I think. The second option would be there's a women's restroom right through a double set of doors behind the pool office that is connected to the community room. That would be easily accessed. And there's a spot there. It would have to be the same type of changing table we're thinking about installing here, which would be the $4,000 one, and need a little bit of electrical work done there. And then the third option would be in the restroom outside of the pool, and then that could serve the pool area, and it could also serve the park, so that would have a dual purpose. So there's kind of 3 options we could go
Is
with.
there room in that restroom that's outside the pool? Is there room in there for one? Would it have to be the portable one, or?
It would be in those restrooms, we would need the wall mounted, because it would need to flip up to be out of the way when not in use, because the bathroom's not big enough to leave it down all the time.
I would.
We are ready to move forward. We're ready to move forward with the bathroom here at Township Hall. And again, since this is, it's definitely something the county, the whole region, the world needs more of these, of course. But we would probably, and I don't know, we would probably be one of the first townships to install one of these. So, which is great. I think it's something we should all be proud of. But Silas and I are ready to move forward with that. So I think at least at today's meeting, if we can get consensus from the board to look into the total costs, and
I want to get consent for the pool. I
Me too.
don't think we have to nail down the solution today or where it's going to go, but I want to get consent on the effort to do that.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree to have this one first, and then the one I
Yep.
would outside of the park, because you can use the park year round. It's 12 months versus the pool is 3 months, and that means that people who are visiting the park can't
Utility.
use it.
Yeah, let's go after the utility there,
Yeah.
because the pool has what do they call it?
Zero entry.
Zero entry, right? There you go. So if you have someone that has to, be in a wheelchair.
Handicap thing too.
Exactly. Yeah, they got the chair that goes over, so you can enjoy the amenities of the township as a resident. Still utilize, if you need to go use the table, then you can. And I think it'd be nice too if it's accessible from the outside. So, even if you're at the soccer game,
Exactly, and that
You're-
opens up the whole park.
Right.
And
Yeah.
how long does it usually take to change a person? Like
5 minutes.
5 minutes? Okay.
Yeah, you may need 10 minutes. That's a generous estimate. People, we do it every day, so we're pretty quick at it.
What about, what,
Our equipment there, it's not easier and not faster.
Yeah.
And,
that makes sense.
Want to come, Nancy?
yeah.
just say your name, Nancy,
Yeah.
if you don't mind, and
I'm-
address.
I'm Isabella Jerome, and my son is Johan Jerome. He's 11 years old, Mr. Gumbel's child, Adele, and he has been friends forever since kindergarten, and they both are going to sixth grade now. I live in Orange Lake Drive in Lewis Center, the Alum Crossing neighborhood. And like Mr. Grumble said, we often meet, but I have never expressed my concern so far. But he might have noticed that how restricted we are, even for a Halloween party. We are stay in the comfort area so that we can rush to the home if we need to for my son's need. And he does have a medical condition that restricts him to a wheelchair. And I would just wanted to add to Ms. Kim's effort, and it makes a lot easier when there's appropriate equipments and amenities for the child to access parks and schools, and like Miss Bonnie said, it would make the world a better place and more, let the child also experience other amenities and facilities all the kids of his age are allowed to or able to experience. And when it comes to the dignity part as well, because my child is 11 years old, he's a preteen, and he understands. When I say that, no, we can't stay longer, we have to get home, or he has to hold in until we have to get home, and he questions why can't we go back, or there are a lot of questions, and also it's not just kids now, and there are a lot of adults, maybe tax-paying adults, productive members of the community. They might feel the same. So it would be an opportunity for our township to lead by example, and I would also show full support for any effort that the township decides to take.
I think, what now, so we put it in the women's restroom for purpose, or men's restroom, because it seems like the men's restroom is used less. A lot of times the women's restrooms are used more by moms with small kids. And it seems like the men's restroom, it'd be hard maybe if that was closed for 5 or 10 minutes. Or is the women's restroom, we were putting in the men's, is that
The
right?
men's here.
Men's
I
here,
think
what
that's
about the
fine.
pool?
And we can,
The pool we haven't, at least
We haven't-
okay, we
yeah,
haven't
we'll
replaced that.
dive into the pool, but
Maybe I'd be a little more in favor of putting it in the men's, just because sometimes it's a fact that more women bring little kids
trying
into
to
the
say?
women's restroom. It's just
Well,
true.
Okay, so I'm getting the impression from the board that it would be a consensus to work on the township hall restroom first, and then during that time we'll make another game plan for the pool option.
So I think the consent would be to move forward with the plans in place on the township hall that are more robust and finalized, or that you've got more structure around now. And also to allow the team, or to support the team's efforts to come up with a similar solution for the pool.
And also consensus
And
to apply for the grant.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep, all of those things.
Oh, yeah, but, yeah, and
If
definitely.
it goes to, then the grant will be the second consensus item, is that what I'm kind of hearing?
That's fine.
Okay, just to
Two
keep on-
separate issues.
I think so.
So Silas will make a proposal for both of them.
Well, I think that we'll get the township
Yeah, you'll
hall
probably see
quickly.
the township call
And
first.
then what they'll do is work with their team to get something finalized for the pool area or more structure around that. And then subsequent meeting, we'll finalize that.
How long will it take do you think, to get it installed and everything? I don't know how long it takes to order,
And
but
just not the contractor's speed.
Yeah, we'll be at the mercy of some of the subs to some of the vendors we
So
use.
next meeting, we'll probably have a better timeline on Township Hall. We'll have a couple of options for the pool that you brainstormed with the team. And then we'll kind of do a sequence of events, right? So Gantt chart type thing where we look at, okay, here's our projection on Township Hall that we have to date. Here's where we're at on the pool, or let's just call it North Orange Park, because it's more. We're looking at potentially one that's accessible from the outside.
It might not, and just for the board's sake, it might not be the next meeting. I'm not sure what the
Subsequent meeting.
the turnaround time is for the grant. So.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask
Yes.
that. Do you know how long that process takes?
I had one question for you too.
So it's pretty quick. Our application's on our website, so that goes directly to our executive assistant. She gets it on the board agenda. We do meet this Thursday, and we don't have a meeting in July. So time is
No pressure.
Yeah, there's no pressure. But we do. The board doesn't meet in July, but they meet again in August, and it's the second Thursday of every month. But
somebody apply ASAP.
they appreciate if someone can come and talk about the grant.
I'm happy to do that.
I'm sorry.
I'm happy to come talk
Sure.
to the
Yeah.
board.
Yeah. They
Thursday.
appreciate if someone can just voice why they're applying for the grant, but it's a pretty straightforward
And
process.
do you know any like contractors, or do you have a list of, or do you know anyone
Preferred
that does
vendors.
this work?
We could supply some information
Because
of
you might have
contracts
someone that
use.
could do it quicker than
Mhm.
some of the government red tape.
Sure. Yep, I can provide that.
The question I had too is we talked about one disability today predominantly, but I imagine that these accessible additions and things like that will benefit more. Can you speak to that at all as far as like the benefit of this? I know that there's folks that have adult that they're taking care of that also may utilize this. So it's not just an isolated here or there. I think that there's
Absolutely.
a lot of utility. Is that
This
correct?
benefits the aging population as well. And the disability group is the largest group that we can all be a part of. I mean, we're all just one thing away from joining that group. So it's a really important thing to remember that we're all able, and if we live long enough, we probably will experience the need for this type of thing.
Paralysis and things
Yep.
like that. Yeah. So it's very
Senior
very
citizens.
broad. It's not just isolated.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much for coming
Thank
today.
you.
Thank you.
At this
Did you get
point.
consensus, Lisa? Do we all?
Yeah, sorry, I was just working through the details with Michelle here. So the first item is, do I have consensus to move forward with adult changing tables at Township Hall and develop similar solutions for the North Orange or Orange Township Aquatic Center?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do I have consensus to allow the township administrator to apply for a grant with the Delaware County Board of Developmental Disabilities for the adult changing tables?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Board, I have an additional question. I'm just processing things to do here. And this may be putting Pete on the spot more, but for the board, currently our park rules prohibit a member of the opposite sex from entering the other restroom. If the door is locked, or if a male wanted to go in the female restroom, or vice versa, for the sake of where the changing station is, do we need to change signage, park rules, verbiage, or anything from a legal standpoint to be?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking we could, like when we talked about male versus female changing table room, that we would have to potentially change the placards or signage on the restroom, that if there's only two and we move one to be more universal, that we would want to do that.
Does that apply to like minors, like the moms that take the little boys into the restroom, or does that apply to?
I think in our park rules, which haven't been updated in
Decades.
9 years, 11 years, something like that, it does have an age on it. I think it's like over the age of 8 or something weird like that.
It does. Yeah. We
That
could
might not
probably
be
just
right,
put an
but-
exception in there.
So what would the guidance be there?
Yeah, we could create one.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Silas.
What is the penalty if you violate that? Just trespassing, or?
Right.
It's never happened, I know of.
Your park rules should have a penalty provision in it.
Yeah, I
I
think the
it's
last
removal, maybe.
time there was a parks violation, Ric Flair actually came to the meeting and right chest slap. You ever see that in WWE?
Well, we will carry on.
That was the last board.
Out a big
Yeah.
woo. He's the guy that goes.
We will make sure the park rules are updated before.
Yeah.
But we've never had a parks violation. It's pretty intense.
Yeah, and even then, if the penalty is not even anything like an arrest and no one's gonna kick out who's gonna take action against a mom changing a son?
Ric Flair.
No, it would be more for the other one. If that, like, let's say that door was locked and a 14-year-old boy went into the women's restroom because the men's room was locked. That would probably be where the issues could come about.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure the township is at least ahead of that before it becomes.
I think it's a
an
great call out. Yep. Pete, take that on.
Got it, yep.
That's what you're here for.
Alrighty. Thank you. Thank you all.
Okay. Any other agenda changes?
No.
Okay. We can move into the consent agenda.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions on the consent agenda from the board?
Could you explain, Silas, what the operating supplies blanket one is for?
That was a switch from several meetings back where we had reduced a line item for repairs and maintenance that can only be used for contractual vendors to move it into the operating, which is more of our internal repairs and maintenance. They can't be mixed. One was higher than it needed to be, so it was a transfer that happened several meetings back. The money was never encumbered, so this is just a formality of encumbering it so we can use it.
Okay.
So it's not anything additional.
Okay. And then the administrative $12,000 one?
That's for the BZA, like the court reporters that do the transcripts at our
Okay.
zoning meetings.
I'm sorry, no, the one at the bottom. I understood the
Oh.
easy one, the third one. The one under admin?
We ran out of money in that blanket, so we needed to transfer over more for contracted services. And one of the things we were using it for was for the U.S. court report, or the court reporters for BZA. So reallocating funds.
Okay, thank you.
So are you using them or the one other place?
This is Renvola.
Yes. So
Or is that what they're called
Yeah.
now?
yeah. So part of the issue was that they previously were known as Runfola. They have changed their name to U.S. Court Support. So we had to change the purchase order accordingly.
So one was blanket, one's, yeah, that makes sense. Any questions other than that?
Have they been working out well, Michelle? The U.S. court sports?
Yeah, I mean, we had them before, and then with the pandemic, they stopped their services and came back to life
Yeah.
afterwards. And yeah, they
I think
no
the
problem.
Orange Township residents,
Oh, good.
many of them. I
Yeah,
like
nope.
use the services.
No problem.
Make a motion to approve resolution 22-189 and 22-190, approving the electronic record of proceedings from the regular meeting held on May 16, 2022, and special meeting held on May 8, 2022, and approving purchase orders, then and now purchase orders and blanket purchase orders as listed.
Mrs. Fowles?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp? Mr. Grumbles?
Yes.
So you did mention resolution 22-189 and 22-190?
Correct.
Yes, thank you. Missed that.
Both part of the consent agenda.
And then if we could do the fire report before our executive sessions.
With that,
We can do our fire report before the executive session.
yep, that's fine. You go ahead, Chief.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Board. I have two donations that I'd like to bring to your attention to accept. The first one comes from Miss Patty Lewis. She was very kind for EMS Appreciation Week. She purchased six $30 cards from Marco's Pizza for two for each unit. So very kind of her during that week. So I'd like to bring that first to your attention. And then last week, I received a very considerate letter and gesture, which I included the letter to the trustees from a son regarding his mother that we responded to a couple times. And he included three $50 Kroger cards for 361, which is the crew that normally takes care of his mother during the responses in that area. So it was a very kind letter. And the gesture was very nice for basically our guys and girls doing the job that we're here for. So, so that's all I have for you today.
Yep, I got it.
Okay. Christine and RCs.
Yeah, I have it. All right, thank you, Chief. And I read the letter. I don't know the details, don't need to. And certainly appreciated you sharing a summary of the good work the team's doing. And I also appreciate your leadership and your department leadership, the folks that are leading each of the units. I believe is how you.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like doing calculus when you're trying to understand the schedules and stuff. But you guys had an event Saturday. It was well attended. I really enjoyed watching the families come out and spend some time together and interact and give them a chance. We even had a Berlin Fire Department came down and grilled burgers for us. No, teasing. One of the spouses is a Berlin firefighter, so I was teasing him a little bit that we'll let him use our new boat if they grill burgers for us, or what was the deal that they worked out. But it was a wonderful event, and I appreciate you letting us know. I know I saw Trustee Faust there and got to meet a lot of the firefighters. They certainly appreciated that, and you're doing a great job. So thank you.
Miss Bonnie was there too, so we had good 1680 representation. Michelle was there
We
too.
did.
So.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't.
Thank you
I
for
didn't-
including us.
I just missed you. So.
Yeah, I just okay. I left. I ate their food and took. No,
It was nice to meet spouses and kids and mothers, and yeah, it was good.
just need a recipe book because some of the stuff was really good. They can cook. All right. Make a motion to approve resolution 22-191, accepting a donation from. Acknowledge and accept donation.
Second.
Mrs. Fowles?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. Make a motion to approve resolution 22-192, acknowledge and accept the donation.
Second.
Mrs. Fowles?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. Thank you, Board. Right. And now I think we're going to go into executive session. Is that right?
Yes, and I will need you to read all the language.
We combining the two into one then?
Yes,
2 points under the one was 8, correct?
and that would be 193.
Yep, 193. We don't need two resolutions, right?
No, but you have to read what she's saying.
Okay. Make a motion to approve resolution 22-193, enter into executive session. Conference with township attorneys concerning a dispute that is the subject of eminent litigation pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G3 and pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G8 for the purpose of considering confidential information related to the marketing plan, specific business strategy, production techniques, trade secrets, or personal financial statements of an applicant for economic development assistance that is directly related to a request for economic development assistance that is to be provided or administered under RC 715, 5709.73 through 5709.75, and or RC 715. This executive session is necessary to protect the interests of the applicant or the possible investment or expenditure of public funds to be made in connection with the proposed economic development project.
Second.
Mrs. Fowles?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. All right, we're going to break out into executive session.
Wait, sorry. And just say who's invited.
That's what I was doing.
Okay.
It doesn't, no, doesn't he have to read this conference with the
He did
township?
from the
Okay.
beginning, yeah.
Oh.
I did.
Got it. Sorry.
Invited to attend would be Township Administrator, the Board, Fiscal Officer, and Township Council, along with our HR. Thank you, Ms. Bonnie.
Okay, you second that, right? Thank you. So he read the
right, we are back on.
Make a motion to approve resolution 22-194, return to regular session.
Second?
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Rumpels?
Yes. In executive session, we discussed with the council in a legal matter and economic development had to be discussed confidentially at this time.
I'd like to make a statement. The township has been through public drama since at least 2007. The number one concern the residents told me while I was campaigning was that people are sick and tired of the drama and fighting. They don't even care whose fault it is, they're just sick of it. I was elected to help put a stop to that, to put a stop to the drama. We had an opportunity to do that today, to make a fresh start, to heal old wounds regardless of whose fault they were. I made the promise to our residents that I would put their interests first, and that's my number one job, to protect them and our dedicated staff. I believe it's time to move forward and to move on, to put the past behind us where it belongs, to do the right thing, to be responsible, to be wise, to put personal vendettas on all sides behind us, regardless of whether they're valid. It's time. I make a motion to accept the settlement proposal from the OCRC. No second?
Motion failed to carry. You go back, you jumped around a bit here, so I believe now we're development and zoning report, is that correct?
That's correct.
Good afternoon, board. Go through the zoning hearings and meetings report first. We did have a zoning commission meeting the previous Tuesday, May 31st, for a proposed car wash in the corner of Lewis Center and 23. That application was tabled at the request of the applicant. We have an upcoming zoning commission hearing on Tuesday, June 14th. This is a continuation from our May 24th meeting for the proposed new gen tennis facility on Green Meadows Drive. The applicant had some revisions that they were going to do to their site plan, so they will be coming back for the zoning commission on the 14th. We do have a Board of Zoning Appeals meeting this month on Thursday, June 16th at 6 p.m. There are two area variance applications, one for a pool in the rear yard setback and one for a deck in the rear yard setback. We have a public hearing scheduled with this board Tuesday, June 21st to continue our discussion and hearing on the Route 23 Overlay District amendments. And we have one more zoning commission meeting scheduled for June. That is Tuesday, June 28th at 6:30. One is for a proposed rezoning from farm residential to single family plan residential to allow for 10 homes on a parcel on Orange Road. As well as an application for an amendment to a planned commercial and office district that would increase permitted uses for community events and additional parking. That address is 123 Hyatts Road.
What do they want to do there?
Essentially, they want to amend their development text to allow for that property to be used as more of an event center and for additional parking on the site.
There is an existing building there now, or?
There is, and then they have the image that you see on the screen it's actually on 23 itself, but it's a connecting parcel that is where their proposed parking would be.
Oh, is this by the drive-through and all that? Right off Shanahan?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
What's it being used as now?
I am not entirely clear on that.
I think it's just a field, like it's no use
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah, that area that's kind of highlighted with the parking lot is not used. I am blanking on the use that was there. Their business was not. It wasn't a success. It wasn't successful there today.
Was it part of any other business? Was it?
I don't know why
adjacent?
that.
Was there?
I'd have to look at the history.
Was
on
it where
that.
they were doing that one center with the endowment or whatever? I don't know.
So I think they had a farmer's market there at one point.
Okay.
They did. Yeah.
Is that what was? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
tents
that's-
and stuff that they would put up, if I remember that. They've had a couple of things there too. I think they had a touch a truck or had another event there at one point.
It's a big space. So.
Because I think there was, I think it was a touch a truck, cars or something like that. And then to the south of that image, I think there's a couple of businesses and little restaurants. All right. As far as the 10 homes on 5 acres, I did get an email from a resident asking for more information on that. And I know you sent an email to us that pretty much had this announcement on it. I'll forward that email to
Sure.
you after the meeting. I responded to the resident yesterday or today, but I would like to get as much info as publicly allowed and then give them a more informed response and the information to reference.
Absolutely.
I think the question I had initially was the lot configuration, which I can see here a little bit more clearly, but they've only seen the
Sure.
an announcement. So, and you said that the car wash has been tabled,
Correct.
and
There's no date certain for that yet.
okay,
There's a lot of access issues. So,
yeah.
so
Setbacks.
So the email SFPRD.
Yes. So we do have a total of 3 resolutions before you today. 2 of them will be to set the trustee hearing dates for rezoning applications ZON 22-02 and 22-03, the He-Mail and Curtis properties.
These two.
Okay, all right. I just wanted clarity on which one we were
Yep.
setting.
So it's those 2. We believe that we should be able to get through them in one session. So if
And we're addressing the 23 overlay and the meeting, in our trustee meeting in the morning.
correct, that is scheduled for
This
at
is
the,
going to be an evening meeting that our residents can attend.
well,
Yes.
that is at the pleasure of the board.
Any concerns with that?
So I think the two dates we were looking at. I'm sorry. The 2 dates we were looking at were the 21st and the 30th at 6 p.m. Do either one of those work for you? For you all?
I'm sorry, the 21st, or what was the other day?
30th. The 30th. It's Tuesday and Thursday. Six p.m.
I'm sorry, the 21st or the 30th?
Yes.
Is there, do we have a meeting in the morning of the 21st?
Yes.
Yes, that would be a double header for you.
So why do we have a meeting then?
The 21st is a regular session meeting because the June 20th is a holiday now. Juneteenth.
Okay, is there any Wednesdays available? Tuesdays are,
I did not think.
Tuesdays and Thursdays, no good for you.
yeah,
Okay.
is there anything else?
Erica, can you make any Wednesday? Either 22nd, 29th, or I guess we can push it up to July 6th if needed.
I could do July 6th.
I can't do Tuesdays.
Can
you do Wednesday, July 6th?
That's my son's 19th birthday.
Yeah, the 21st is my anniversary, but I was willing to meet with you guys anyway.
25th is what?
21st is my anniversary, but I was willing to meet with you guys anyway. My schedule's that busy.
What, how long do you think they would take? Like, not too long. These are
Well, I hate to guess these
We're
things.
just gonna put the zoning.
Yeah.
Hopefully an hour.
What about the 22nd doesn't work?
I have
Do we have
other
enough
things happening.
time?
But I could skip what I have. So.
Well, is the earliest Wednesday the 22nd?
If we did it at 6 and kept it to an hour, I could totally do the 22nd.
What about the 29th?
I mean, we could do it earlier
I can't do it
if you want to
5.
do like
I
a
can't
if you want to do a
What about
5:30.
5? Or what up?
I just want to make sure just enough time for if there are any residents do want to
Correct.
come.
We want them to be able to.
What if you did
That's
5?
5 on the 20. Did we have any residents show for either one of these hearings?
There were some residents that attended the.
So I just want to make sure we have.
Could we do 5:30?
I would
on
say
the 22nd?
5:30.
Oh yeah, that's right. That night, the whole night's good for me.
That's good for you.
Yeah.
Ben, does that work for you?
What date?
5:30 on the 22nd.
Does that work for the applicant?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Wednesday the 22nd at 5:30.
So she might be done within an hour and a half. Maybe. Okay.
They are only seeking one divergence, I believe. for each
The
site.
southern one is only seeking
22nd.
one divergence, the northern one is seeking no divergences.
I believe they're both seeking one divergence. It's the same divergence, not to
They
plat.
didn't
Oh,
look,
that's right.
they didn't look too complicated compared to some. They look
No.
pretty simple.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
5:30 on the
5:30 on the 22nd.
Is that for both hearings?
It would be for both hearings,
Okay.
but we'll do 2 resolutions.
Wednesday, 22nd.
5:30. 5:30.
Wait, sorry, that's the anniversary.
No, the day.
That's 21st.
That's
Okay,
good.
yeah.
21st is anniversary. Not a big one.
Make a motion to approve resolution 22-195, schedule hearing date for zoning application 22-02. Email, am I saying that right?
Yes.
Single family plan residential for Wednesday, June 22nd, 5:30.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. Make a motion to approve resolution 22-196, schedule hearing date for zoning application 22-03, Curtis, single family plan residential district for June 22nd at 5:30.
Second.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. Any questions on extending the overlay? Make a motion to approve resolution 22-197, extending the moratorium on all applications under the Route 23 corridor overlay district. Article 20 of the Orange Township zoning resolution.
Second.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes, and then, so we need to go back to the zoning commission on that, right?
No.
We do not.
Okay, so we're just waiting on language and drafts, and then we can come back and approve.
Correct.
And the
Yes.
team and I have already had conversations with council on the language that we are gonna be changing based on the trustee feedback from the last hearing, so that'll be ready for the 21st.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is that for zoning?
That concludes
Thank
it.
you. Operations.
Afternoon, everyone. First item for operations today is the request of authorizing request of signs indicating the boundaries for Orange Township. If you see in your items, Alex did a very nice job putting together some graphics and some reasoning behind this, but this is a formal request for Odot to place Orange Township boundary signs on all the state roadways entering and exiting Orange Township. Again, the exhibits are in the backups there, and the resolution to approve that will allow District 6 with Odot to begin working on getting those signs created and installed.
Do we know exactly how many roads those are going on? Just
It
wondering.
is 23 and 750.
Oh, so just those two.
Yeah, east, west, north, south on the state highways only.
Thank you.
After that, there are 2 REAs for this for the board to review. One is for Walker Woods Boulevard. That is more of a preemptive REA to do a traffic study now with the work on East Powell Road for City of Columbus, as well as future roadway work on Bale Canyon. We want to get a baseline study in place so we know what some of the traffic volumes are now compared to what they'll be after some of the road work that's pending. Based on experience, it seems that having a baseline study in hand has been really helpful to determine what the increases or what changes have been made over the years. So following up on that, the other REA is for Mercier Street up in North Farm subdivision. My understanding is the county has completed at least 3 REAs for the same questions from the North Farms HOA. Speeding, a lot of vehicles, a lot of changes, stuff. It's not a cut-through neighborhood, but they have requested another traffic study and speed study to be done. The HOA would like a 4-way stop to be installed at the intersections of Mercier and Summersworth and Loudon. Again, this will be either the 3rd or 4th request for a speed study and traffic study on that area. The first few studies have turned up to not provide enough depth to for the county to push forward with a 4-way stop suggestion. So It has been several years since the last one, so this is a follow-up to that to continue to make sure we're doing our due diligence as a township through our county engineer department to study all the impacts that may be at play here. Next up is just a quick update on the North Orange Aquatic Center. We are roughly 2 weeks into opening at this point. As of the time of this meeting, we are probably at or above the number of memberships that we sold last year for the entire year. So obviously the changes and the popularity of the pool have not gone away. Memberships are sky high. The only reason I bring that up is just to kind of make the board aware of the popularity, but also to I guess put a notice out there that there's a good chance with some of the crowds we've been seeing lately and some of the upcoming events and some of the activities going on there, there's a good possibility that we're going to need to consider restricting the amount of daily passes that are sold on any given day in order to keep people safe and allow the guards the ability to do their job there. If we go too far past our capacity, it gets to be a safety issue and a security issue. So that possibility is probably coming down the line here somewhere soon, so I want to make the board aware of that.
And is that something that, say there's a lot of people in that, say 11 to 3 o'clock range, but then lots of people leave, and so then we then would resume selling daily passes as people leave, or is it like we shut it down at 2, you can't come in at 5?
No, your first scenario is exactly correct.
Okay.
If the front desk staff will monitor the amount of people leaving and coming in, and if we get to that point where it's getting really close, they'll probably cease the sale of daily passes and just allow members in only at that point. If there's a mass exodus or people start leaving 2, 3, 4 o'clock, they'll start letting daily passes be sold again.
And how will they communicate this information to the residents? Is it something that we can put on our Facebook page? So we want to make sure that we just alert residents.
Yeah.
And again, it's up to the residents to check the Facebook page to say, hey, there's no more daily passes, but we can put it out there.
Yeah, the plan is initially to put it out there that it's going to be a possibility, especially with 4th of July weekend coming up. I fully expect during the 4th of July weekend to this to be a very real possibility. Bless you. So we'll definitely communicate that in advance. In the event it happens on a certain day, a random Tuesday, we'll be able to communicate that out. I don't know if we'll be there right now. I don't know if that'll happen. It might be more of a weekend issue, but the pool management company will then communicate that to us, and then Carolina will communicate that out. But again, it's probably a temporary measure to your point, so it may not be a big communications pitch to try to let everybody know. It might just be hourly or maybe every couple hours.
And will there be like a large sign that people that walk up can see?
Yeah, at the front desk, they'll have a sign that says daily passes are, we're out of daily passes right now. We're temporarily suspended, however we've heard that.
What is the capacity of the pool?
The capacity of the studies that I've found were in play during the COVID when there was a 20 or 30% capacity is what the state was going to allow. The number I found on that was in the 1,800 range. 1,600 range. Now,
Wait, 1,600 for without the COVID restrictions?
that was the number they based it off of. So at the time, they could have roughly, I think 300 was the daily capacity they could have during the COVID time. Now, that number is based off of square footage and space and all that. The security number of what we can safely monitor from a lifeguard and front desk and staffing standpoint is probably much lower than 1,600. We've had in the last couple of weeks about 1,000 to 1,100 people on a given day at the pool.
Over the
course
opening?
Over the course of time.
All at one time.
We don't have a specific tracking system for who's there at any given time, but the number of 1,000 to 1,100 on any given day is a really, really huge number and probably at the limit.
How does that compare, though, to pre-pandemic? Because we've had this issue in the past, and I don't know if we've actually ever limited. I assume that it's obviously a lot higher than it has been the last couple of years for obvious reasons. Even last year, I think some people were reluctant to maybe go. So could you check back from 3 years ago and give an idea of how many people? Because I think this needs to be like not arbitrary, right? How we just say, well, the pool is full, you can't come in. So
It'll still be open to members. It'll be restricting daily passes only.
Yeah, but what are the standards for that? Like, we need to go back and see how many were limited in the past as well, and how we're.
Our numbers have never been this high at the pool on any record I've found since the opening of the pool. We were at 4,300 memberships sold last year, In 2 weeks into pool season, we're at 4,300 members this year, and it's climbing probably 100 to 200 a
But
day.
daily visitation.
Daily passes haven't been tracked in our system that I've been able to find. Our software that we use has only been in play for the last 2 years.
Okay.
So memberships have been tracked, daily passes have not been. Now,
Yeah, so how would you, what's the threshold for saying we're not gonna let anyone else back in the pool? Or not
It
letting
would be a
them?
capacity issue
It'll-
at that
it'll
point.
be a capacity issue
What is
based
the
on,
threshold? No, like, I mean, we've had this issue in the past. I don't think we've ever actually limited pass. We got close to it, but I would want to see further analysis of that. And I think it should be discussed by the board, like when you would cut off daily passes.
it'll be a day-to-day situation thing. I mean, if we're at 1,000 or 1,100 people on a given day, they're probably going to suspend daily passes for the safety of everybody there. So otherwise, our guards can't watch 2,000 people at the pool.
Well, yeah, but we just need to make sure. So but what is the specific standard, and how do you know if they've left? Like if you say, well, like Eric, Trustee Faust was saying, well, there's been 1,000 people here today, but it's 6 o'clock. I mean, how do you track when people left or how many people are currently there?
Do you count them? Like I know there used to be a clicker. They would count us as we came in.
On the way in, they're tracked through our new software that we
Do
have.
we have any sort of clicker that counts them as they leave?
Turnstile.
We do not. It's really
Yeah.
just a visual count. So it's
That's what
not
I
a
mean, like, I don't-
drop-dead deadline. It plays into all the operations.
So it's really
of the front
just
desk.
a visual gut check.
Yeah, and if we
Kind
know
of
it is a
decision?
day, if it's a holiday weekend or a long weekend, and it's going to be 85 and sunny, and there's 800 members already at the pool by 11:30, there's a good chance they'll restrict it to 25, 50, or whatever that number is, knowing that it's going to be a very, very busy day. So they'll still cater to the membership,
Oh, yeah, but
but
again,
with over 4,000 members in play.
But remember, we also need to, I mean, I think this should be a trustee, I think you should come back with a formal proposal saying if it gets with procedures, because if you say at 1 PM, there already been 800 people there, but then, a lot of people leave after lunch, and then if you've cut off the capacity.
I think what I heard him say is that you would then resume selling daily passes as people leave.
Absolutely.
How does he know if he's not tracking? No, it doesn't make sense.
We don't have a software that tracks people when they leave.
Yeah,
We have the counts when they enter, the leaving, and the amount of chairs available and the capacity of the pool.
Right.
That some of that is a visual interpretation as well.
we have a duty to make as much money as we can off the pool, and that includes daily passes as much as feasible. And I would want to see, I mean, we're trying to make a pool that breaks even at some point. And, well, as far as, I think the operating costs, but not the major improvements, capital improvements. We didn't budget for those, right? When big, massive fixes come up. But I don't really like the idea of just eyeballing and saying we're too full, or, well, 1,000 have come in. I just don't like the idea. I mean, how do other pools do it if they're going to restrict? They must have.
They stop selling daily passes when they get to a limit.
So,
Yeah,
so I think we need to define what the limit is.
Yeah, define the limit, how it will be determined. How do other pools know? Other pools must know when people leave, and they know exactly how many people are there at one time. Okay, so can you check with them and see how they do that? Because then we would want to set a safe limit and come to a safe limit, not just relying on some 18-year-old to say, oh, well, I think we're, 19-year-old, oh, I think we're at our capacity right now.
Does the staffing, like lifeguard, does the staffing fluctuate? Or do you
Oh,
always
yeah, it's
have
supposed to
staff?
come, when, it's not.
It's a static number. Well, based on scheduling, it's a static number for the day.
I didn't know if you were running low like a lot of places in terms of staff.
Yeah.
No, we are fully staffed.
That would also be a factor.
Well, we have a contract. But we have a contract that we pay for that money for the staff members, and if they don't actually follow through on that, then they would owe us money if they don't off the contract. So we have a contractual
I
agreement.
know a lot of
But
places will
yeah, certain.
cut entry off, I just don't know what the.
Yeah, I think we need to set a standard. And I mean, Trustee Garland, we can't. I don't really, since it's our pool being run by a third party, and we have a responsibility to provide access to the pool to our residents. I don't feel comfortable with just cutting off an arbitrary time where someone, it could lead to discrimination. I mean, or whatever. Someone comes in and they don't like.
Could you reach out to some of the other pools to see, what their process is?
Yeah, I've spoken with several of them. Some of them do have an arbitrary, we're too full, members only at this point going forward. A lot of that is based on the day. Some of them do have software in place where they are tracking people coming and going. Not everybody has that,
Does
obviously.
it have to be as much as a software? Can it be just, I don't know, one of the staff members there, literally one of those clicky things? That just,
Yeah, it could be. We get a lot of people in and out though too. It wouldn't be
It would be
perfect.
perfect, but it'd be better, maybe better
Which
than
pools
nothing.
are arbitrary? Which ones just, yes?
A lot of the community type pools.
Like which one?
Hilliard, one of their pools was arbitrary, and was it either Groveport or Grove City that I talked to was the same. But again, some of them have software, some don't.
Yeah, can we
But there's also a membership number that everybody kind of caters to the membership. So
Yeah,
at some point when you get close to that line, they say we go members only at this point, and we stop selling daily passes, much like several pools did last summer.
But they also sell to people that aren't residents, correct?
Several pools in Central Ohio stopped selling daily passes altogether. They're member only pools.
Yeah, but they also, you're catering to the residents, but like I keep saying, this is a pool that non-residents are not allowed to come to unless
Correct.
they're with the residents. So I consider anyone buying a daily pass as being just as worthy of attending the pool as a season pass holder, in my mind. If just because you go 3 times a year doesn't mean you're worth any less, if you're a teenager or you just work during the day or whatever. I don't want to exclude those people from being able to come. I just want to make sure we're doing it fairly. And that,
Yeah. Well, at some point we have to draw a line though. With 30,000+ residents in a pool that only holds 1,000, 1,500
yeah, but
people.
also, we had this issue probably 8 years ago. We had a lot of people coming, but when some of these other pools and facilities opened, they, and I think Zimbizi Bay expanded some things. A lot of people stopped getting passes because it was overcrowded, and also their kids got older or whatever. But a lot of that, we actually had a huge number of people drop off over a couple of years when other facilities opened, like even community pools back in the day.
I'll tell you, when I was there on Memorial Day with my family, I saw the manager, Mary, and she was walking around talking to the lifeguards, making sure they felt they could still safely patrol the area with the number of people there.
Monitor
So,
safety.
yeah, exactly. She's like, I want to make sure they're not feeling like they can't safely, monitor because there's so many people.
Well, and that's something that's happened for years. Like, I can't remember what the contract says, but do they always have the same, don't they anticipate weather and things like that and say we're going to have extra people there that day?
I would assume they staff up for holiday weekends.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, right. So they would have extra staff. I mean, you wouldn't want it to be overly crowded, but again, I feel that this isn't like a private pool, it's a public pool and everyone pays for it. And I mean, whether like today, I haven't been sadly to the pool for 3 years, I'm still paying for it.
But because every facility would have a capacity limit, if we exceeded that and God forbid something happened, we would be liable.
Oh yeah, but it's 1,600. There's no way we're going to get to, I don't think 1,600, and that's at one time. If we have 800 people come in and 200 leave, and we have no way of knowing 200 left, and that's the thing. We need to know how many people there are if we can monitor in real time. Can you add that to the software? Is that maybe an option on the software?
The current software we have, it was not an option. We did look into it before the season. When we redesigned the front entry for the gates and everything we created there, we did look into that. The exit tracking was not an option.
I would find a software that does that, and how would they do that? Would people leave, they swipe out, or something that makes it
Yeah,
simple.
I mean, that's something we can look into. I don't know if we can make that change this season.
Yeah, can you let us know how many people can you keep track of how many people every day come and let us know at the next meeting how many people have been there every day?
The zoo has somebody standing at the exit clicking.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, that's like the
you're right.
$10 thing, right? Or maybe 20. I don't know. Can you just
Yeah, if we can.
But then the staff time too. But
what it does to the staff? So that's
they have to stand there all day, and then
Yeah, but they
get
stand at the desk anyway. But again,
But then they're checking
It's-
people in, and the people
correct.
are leaving.
It's a thing.
And I mean, can you?
but
if
it's
you
better
could-
than no data.
I can work with CPM to see if they can start tracking people leaving, just with click or something simple like that.
Is that?
I don't think it'll escape the issue that I brought up initially, which was at some point we're going to be at a capacity issue and we'll have to turn people away.
Oh
And
yeah.
the people to
Yeah, we
turn
just
away
need
will
to
be.
communicate that on the website and
Yeah.
the Facebook page. And
Absolutely.
But when we're government, we need to have a why we're doing things, not be arbitrary. It's our responsibility. So I want to make sure that we're saying, hey, this is what's going on. This is why we're doing this. So do you have the numbers of, since the pool opened, on how many people came each day? Can you send those out to us?
Sure. If you think it'll help. Sure.
Yeah, I do. I would like to see. Yeah, so I don't have to take too
Okay.
much more
And
time.
we're expecting to exceed capacity given we've sold more season passes or passes this year than we have last year already. Like even in the first 2 weeks, we went over that. So I think Silas is just bringing it to the board's attention that there is a chance that we could exceed the capacity, and this is.
But last year, a lot of people were still kind of worried about going to the pool. I mean, some people didn't want to be around other people, and I think.
But to
that's
Silas's
many.
point, that we've had the most season passes ever purchased in the
I know.
pools.
Last year was
That's
the
what
biggest
it's
number
saying.
we've ever had, and this year we've
Ever?
already surpassed that number.
Wait,
2
how
weeks in.
many? Lisa, do you know how
So
many?
the number will
What
be
is it?
Last
higher.
year we sold 1,163 season passes, I believe, for like 4,200, like individual people.
Mhm.
So.
And then what about the year
4,300.
before, do you know? Like how
Where
many?
we are, no, I didn't pull any numbers from there.
Can you get the
Silence.
numbers?
We're at 4,300 as of about maybe past that. at
And
this
last
point.
year's 1,400, how much? The
4,300
year
last
before
year.
doesn't really count, 2020. What about 2019?
30.
It was, about.
Yeah, I thought.
Anyways, but 4,300 is the most we've ever sold,
We are there.
and we are there already. So.
People continue to buy passes throughout the summer.
40, that means like if you're a family of 4.
It's
you're-
4,300.
One membership.
With
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. 4,300 people have
Are
mem-
registered
our
under a
membership.
pass.
Yes.
Okay. And
I
then
think-
we can look at the number of daily passes that we're selling, obviously, because they're buying them. But I think with the facts that you mentioned, though, Trustee Knapp, about people are coming out of their COVID, cocoon, if you will. So I expect that number will continue to go up. That being said, so I understand the concern and appreciate you bringing that to the board. And I think we just need to get some structure around that and an approach to communicate that, notify residents quickly. The good news is that most of
Birchfield, we sold 1,000 passes, basically 1,006 pass memberships in 2019 for 4,165.
so it's
Is
continuing to
that
go up.
1,000 individual or that's
1,000 families bought a membership, which equaled 4,100, basically 4,100.
in 2019?
This is 41, 43, 43.
Yeah, so it's not
Declining.
that much
Declining,
worse.
but we're
Yeah.
just at the. I
We're
think
2 weeks in right now. We're
And
already.
do people continue to buy passes
Yeah.
throughout the summer?
But
Probably
not-
since the time I've been in this meeting, we're probably 30 more, 40
Yeah,
more.
but it kind of dies
It's nice
off
out.
a lot because you don't want to pay full price. If you're going to go to the pool all the time, you're going to buy it in the
Pass,
first
because you're going to
3
pay for
weeks.
yourself.
Exactly.
It'll die off in another 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, so I mean, if it's only a difference of 4,100 versus 4,300, that's not huge. I mean,
I'm gonna
depending.
guess based on the way people are buying, from what I'm seeing from all these deposit reports I keep signing, that we're gonna probably end up around 4,700 to 4,800 would be my guess.
And then the daily passes, what are we seeing there volume wise this year?
It varies on the weather, obviously, in the weekend. Memorial Day weekend was a little bit skewed because it's a holiday weekend, and the first 2 days, I think Thursday, Friday, were a little bit stinky, and then Sunday, Monday was spectacular. We were at 100 and, I want to say like 160, 180 on Monday of Memorial Day. So
Yeah, we ran out of they ran out of everything in the concessions.
they had,
The
yeah,
line went all the way down.
Because the weather was so nice.
It was just, it was so crowded.
We still got to think about concession
Yeah,
opportunities
concession.
down the road. But
Yeah, are you able to give us a report on how many daily and how many season passes entered and how many dailies is the pool open for this year? Just so we can get out, what's it, in 2 weeks?
I think so.
Can you just send that, maybe we
I
could
think,
discuss
I
it?
think when you're getting rec desk, everything's in a database, so there's tables in the background. So you have pass with a number and number of individuals. So when they go to swipe in, they each individually have their own, right?
Yeah.
So they're capturing that data, that transactional data. Right?
Yeah.
So what we can do is, and I can work with you on this a little bit, start to model that a bit and say, hey, each day pass is one person. And then here's from a family pass or a season pass holder on each day, you do a lookup type formula and pull quantity. Hey, there's 400 passes that swiped in this day, and that equates to 1,600 people. And you start getting some metrics.
Yeah,
Average of 3.2 per pass. So then we can start to project out when we're going to hit these things. We won't know when they're leaving.
But each person is an individual,
At
right?
least give us some red flags on individually the number of people that are coming.
Wait, what's your maximum, are you
1,600.
thinking? Yeah, but what's the maximum that should be, what do they determine is the maximum safe number?
We've had roughly 1,000 there on a given day at a given time, and that is borderline comfortable.
But
And borderline
again, at
uncomfortable
one
too.
time or just all day?
I think he said one time, right?
Roughly at one time, yes.
At one time.
Again, we don't pull reports every half hour or hour to see
Yeah.
how many exactly many people are there, because again, people are coming and going. So there is some human
Reasonable
element
way.
to it that's helpful. That your eyes tell you, hey, this is we're at that point, like Lisa had mentioned. Hey, our guards are getting to the point where it's we're getting past the point where we feel safe. So the human element is pretty helpful in this.
Yeah, it is. And just remember, I mean, we do pay CPM a lot of money to run the pool and have adequate staffing. So it kind of, I don't want them to say, oh, we think there's so many people here today, and then we just start turning people around because they don't want to do their job.
I'm not concerned about that all with CPM. They are spectacular. They are very much good representatives of Orange Township.
So next,
We'll pull some data, and Silas and I will discuss with CPM on strategy on how to handle if there is a capacity issue.
Yeah, get
some
back.
more structure
Yeah.
around that.
All right.
What our options are.
And then he had one more item.
Yep, go ahead.
Yep. Sorry. Last thing is reluctantly accepting the resignation of Cody Jenkins. Cody was offered a career opportunity with fire department to go through training and fulfill a lifelong career dream to become a firefighter. And with a heavy heart, he submitted his resignation last week and wanted to bring that before the board and share the bad news with you. But excited for Cody. It's a little bittersweet when you lose a good employee, but happy that he's leaving under great terms and a little bit reluctantly as well. He's really enjoyed his time here with the township. He's been a great asset to us, and I don't think it's a permanent goodbye. Hopefully, I wouldn't be surprised if Cody circles back around to the township one of these days. But unfortunately, this time he's going to pursue another opportunity. So I wanted to bring that before the board as well.
Congratulations to him.
Yeah.
I got some numbers between 2018. 2018, let's see, says pool passes, meaning, pool passes like families and all that was in 1,022. And the first pool pass was sold March of 2018, and the last was sold July 13th of 2018. And it says the day with the highest attendance, May 24th, 2018, with 1,852.
1,852.
Yep, largest attendance at a night from July 13th, 2018, 461.
Yeah, where are you finding this so I can?
This is from when I was a trustee before, my email.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, I'd say that we're cycling in, not obviously. At the
Well,
same
not all
time.
at the same
Yeah,
time, but we've had this issue in the past, and it's never gotten too crazy. I think more people are coming out with COVID. Maybe people are driving less because of the gas prices and staying home. That's
Yeah, that's a good
possible.
Yeah, and we also have to keep in mind that the township is growing. Is it not the pool? Our aquatic center has not grown.
Need to add a third
So
pool.
there's more residents here now, and so with that, more residents do want to go to the pool. So the only thing we're just making the board aware that this could be an issue, and we'll figure out a plan to handle it.
Yeah, I just want to make sure the trustees are involved in that. It's not arbitrary, because, you can see it.
Sure.
This is right
I'm going to
in
wait,
the email.
see what we can put together data-wise
Yeah.
and get a plan in
Makes
place.
Michelle, I'm sorry, Ben. Is there another resignation too? It should be on mine. Okay.
There is another
Okay.
resignation.
So it was singular. Just want to make sure.
Oh.
So also another resignation from last week. One of our public works laborers, Fred Neese, submitted his resignation as well.
Okay, thank you. I do like the signs. I think that was a challenge when we looked at branding and stuff. We still got to tackle the hurdle with the county roads, Silas. Every time I talk to the engineer, I mention it. Pete, you've heard me do it a few times about getting our township signs on the county road intersections again. I know there's some statutory, regulations and so on and so forth that prohibit them from being where they were placed previously. I think within the red light, whatever they mentioned. I took a lighthearted approach to it with them, and we've talked through. And I think that there was some argument that took place with the prior employee in the county that didn't help. So now that they're moving forward and working together, and we're we've talked about it several times, so it might be a good time to reach back out to Mike Love and Rob Riley and see if we can, since we're getting signs on the big roads, might be a good time to revisit that. We had discussed moving them off the poles in different locations so they didn't interfere with the signaling and the regulatory signage. So,
Would you like to see the ones that were put on top of the street name blades, or the ones that are Orange Township like corp limit signs?
it was the branding, like the logo signs.
Yes.
They were put on top of all the poles and such.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
they were talking about working with Mike Love and Rob Riley actually mentioned in the meeting. They'll have to look into what is feasible so that it's not deemed a distraction.
Yeah.
Don't want to create liability, but we need to take a collaborative approach.
Is
on
Riley the contact for this? Because I know
What's that?
would we want to contact Rob Riley about those signs or?
Yeah, it's the county road.
Okay, I just didn't know if there was anybody else a point of contact with the
No,
county
Mike
engineers.
Love, the
Right,
traffic
Love.
engineer.
Yeah.
I think when I met with Rob, and Pete was there for one of them for sure, but we had discussed the incident because I wanted to make sure we buried the hatchet with the argument that happened.
Mhm.
They were very open to working with us. The problem is we just need to respect the fact it's their intersection, just go around, and make sure they're aware we're putting them up this go around. Communication. And and then, you know, with the regulations in place, there was some oversight, you know, that we've got to shore up when we go about it this round. So, which I think it'll work fine. I know you've got a great relationship with them, so I think we've got the right people in place. And but I would, Michelle, if you're asking about the Odot signs,
Mhm.
yes, we need to communicate with the county and anybody that we would collaborate with that might see those, or, you know, just, hey, we've got clearance on these, they're going in, here's what they look like. Have any questions, they're happy to talk through it.
Gotcha.
Okay, make a motion to approve resolution 22-198 requesting the Ohio Department of Transportation to erect signs in the rights of way state highways located within Orange Township indicating the boundaries of the township.
Second?
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp? Yes. Mr. Grumbles?
Yes, and this is also helping tremendously with transient vendors, and you know, we put the new stickers up. The number one thing you hear when you interact with them when they're in violation, I didn't know where I was. So here we go. Make a motion to approve resolution 22-199 authorizing the township administrator to execute a request for engineering assistance with the Delaware County Engineers Office regarding Walker Woods Boulevard traffic study to use as a baseline for future comparisons.
Second.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. On that note, too, Silas and Michelle, I think we should identify Blue Holly, Walker Woods, the roads that are major cut-throughs in our community. We may just want to go ahead and get a good baseline as we grow. And we get tons of complaints in Glen Oak for Blue Holly. I've been on Walker Woods. It's really tough to watch. So heavy school traffic, heavy residential traffic, and cut-throughs, anywhere that we have that dynamic, can identify, get a good baseline study. That'll be a tremendous value, I think, in the future. So good job on that.
Absolutely.
And the walk road one, are you doing before the roundabout opens? Is that here in the next couple months?
Yeah, it'll be sooner than later. Then we'll probably, Walkerwood especially, it's kind of a unique street as far as location and impact goes. We'll probably have several of those to use as a baseline between the time of now and when Vale King opens.
And then also with school season, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have a massive seasonal influx with middle and high schools.
Yeah.
Blue Center Road.
We're used to that.
It's got some unique characteristics that other streets may not have as much of, but it'll require several different studies several different times to get good baseline.
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve resolution 22-200 authorizing the township administrator to enter into and execute a request for engineering assistance with the Delaware County Engineers Office regarding Mercier Street traffic study, traffic safety concerns.
Second?
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. Make a motion to approve resolution 22-201, accept the resignation of full-time public works laborer Fred Neese.
Second.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. Make a motion to approve resolution 22-202, accept the resignation of full-time parks maintenance and facilities assistant manager Cody Jenkins.
Second?
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. And are we posting? We're posting for those. Do we need to approve that now?
No, we have
I
a
understand.
existing one from Mr. Gilson's promotion, so there's still a vacancy in the Public Works Department. We were just going to roll with the same one. I don't know if there needs to be a resolution to post a second one or
I
not.
don't think so because it's an approved position, right? We're not creating a new position. I just want to make sure you have our support.
Yes,
You
I
need-
appreciate that. Hopefully we'll have some movement soon on that.
And Silas, HR, and I will be brainstorming for the Parks Department too, since Cody was from that department.
Okay, I have to read some
Stay
more.
tuned.
I have to read some more historical stuff. 2014, over 1,215 passes were purchased. June 17th was 90 degrees and 1,837 people went swimming. People ate 2,838 hot dogs. That's a lot of hot dogs. Lots of hot dogs.
one day.
No, sorry, total, the whole season. The whole season. It was a contest. And 2016, 1,150 passes. And let's see, there for that season. Let's see here. It doesn't say the capacity. Oh, 7,422 women freshies were sold. That's a lot. And then on let's see, for 2016, I guess it's the same year. Yeah, so it's actually we've always been like that. It's always been very high. It's just been something that we've dealt with. And back then we allowed non-members, and so we don't, or non-residents. We don't allow that anymore. So that's already going to cut down on quite a few. We used to have dozens of people come in every day. So I don't think it's any different than it was. So I'd be cautious to limit it to anything less than we've had in the past.
Ms. Brack?
Yes, okay. A couple things, and I don't mean to be a sky is falling kind of person here, but just a heads up, last week in the news, if you didn't see it, because of gas prices, the state of New York halted state gas tax, because their gas reached $7 a gallon. So just a heads up, I haven't seen or heard anything about Ohio doing that, but if so, that's $36,000 a month in revenue that we should just at least have in our minds in case something like that ends up happening here in Ohio. Thank goodness we're not $7 an hour. Then I think you all know, but we'll formally announce we did get a $400,000 grant for the Veterans Memorial, so that is very exciting. Also, at the next scheduled meeting, regular session meeting, I will have the language for the levies. So that's the June 20th meeting for the parks to renew at One Mills for 3 years, and roads to renew at Half Mills, but if everybody's okay with it, taking that to 5 years instead of 3 years. That one doesn't get a rollback, so there's no change to it as far as, making a change in term or anything. There's no
That'll be the
implication.
21st.
That'll be the 21st. Thank you, Michelle. So, and after next week's special meeting with the bond folks, then we can fine tune that if we need to. Okay, so first thing is just a liquor license for Rooster's Men's Grooming over on Owen Field. So a consensus item there. The next item.
Wish I had hair.
Oops, the first
Sounds
item.
fine.
Sorry, I missed the first item. The first item is a policy for deposit of checks and public money. Currently, we have 2 days to deposit checks, and we had a real problem with that with the audit when I took over, and we just I was half a year, but we had a lot of times where we didn't make that, whether it's because it's coming over from fire and there's a delay there, or we didn't get to the bank. Well, we helped that with adding remote deposit, which we did a year ago. I added that, so we don't have to go to the bank anymore unless it's cash. But this allows us, ORC allows us to deposit anything under $1,000 within 3 days. So it's just expanding that to allow us to do anything under $1,000 within 3 days. Right now, we're in a good process. We're doing it every other day. It's all working out well, but if somebody's out sick or something happens and they get missed for a day, this gives us just that little cushion from an audit standpoint. Next item is BP card and account cancellation. Since we have the Voyager cards now, which Silas, I believe, are working good.
Yep, correct.
Perfect. Which I don't think I'll share this when I get the actual numbers, but another plus of the Voyager card is it automatically removes the excise tax. So we're having a savings in gas from that. So that's great too. And we're not having to drive to only BP stations. But this is just to formally cancel the cards that we have out there and close the account. Then the next item, I sent you all an email about this. This is, we tracked this back to, I think, 2013-ish, right? Hopefully you had a chance to read the email. But this goes back to 2013. Ms. Knapp, you might remember this. This was money that was set aside in escrow because of the Graphics Way Trail over US 23. It was the federal money that was received was put in its own escrow account, own escrow bank account. Whenever we made payments out of this on this project, it was coded correctly to the right fund, but they never removed all of the money from the bank account. So this is moving. Yeah. So we've had since 2013, we've had $586,000, $568,000 plus interest that's just sitting there that we can't write checks against. So this is basically, and we're getting account fees by having that account open. So this is closing that ODOT escrow bank account since the project is closed and moving that money into the general account. They're the operating bank account, not general account.
We're allowed to do that?
We are allowed to do
So
that.
can we use that on other roads projects?
We actually, yeah, it's already,
Is that
it's
it?
correct in its funds, how it's, how it's accounted for in its funds. But for some reason, when they paid one of the last checks, they didn't move the money from the escrow account to general to pay, to the operating account to pay it. So it's been sitting out there in the separate account. We only write checks from one account, which is operating. So it's moving that account physically from the bank account of the ODOT escrow bank account to.
That's right, because
yeah.
sign the books.
Yep.
So was
So it's
that-
already funded.
Yeah.
It's correct as far as
Is
the
there?
funds.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just not able to, be used to pay any expenses.
Yeah, there's
So-
a whole history behind that.
Yeah.
I'll have to send you the report.
Oh, I'm sure. So we played detective and got to the bottom of that. So huge thanks to Todd for all his help with that. I think that's all I've got. So we'll be, with the okay of that resolution, we'll be moving over the $586,000 and change into the operating account. Are there any questions on any of that? That was a lot.
Where's the Roosters located at?
Over in Owenfield Drive. It's the
Depot.
existing roof. It's right there by Subway. Yeah,
Oh, it is? Oh. So
it's
why-
been there. They just went
Yeah,
off.
I probably just haven't noticed it. So they're gonna start having a,
Drink a beer while you get your hair cut.
Yep.
is it is it just for beer or is it, what kind is it?
No, it's a liquor license. I would
Liquor.
assume they'd be able to do more.
Probably get yourself a burger.
Yeah, bourbon.
Really? Okay.
If you're into that, fuck it.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds kind of dangerous. You're not there long enough to get in hair.
Hopefully the staff's not.
Hopefully it's before you're getting your haircut.
Yeah. Take it all off. Oh.
Any
Yeah, I
questions
don't
or
object to
concerns?
that. No.
Oh.
No.
I'm fine with beer.
Okay. Lisa, fine with your
Yeah,
hearing? Erica?
I'm good.
Thank you.
Any questions on the policy?
No.
Make a motion to approve resolution 22-203 approving a policy for deposit of checks and public monies.
Second?
Mrs. Fowles?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes, thank you for your efforts on that.
Yes.
Ms. Kraft, I think that's great. Put our township in a better position with audits and clients and things. VP card, any issues or concerns?
You skipped the liquor license.
No, we just did that.
Oh, sorry, just kidding.
Make a motion to approve resolution 22-204 authorizing fiscal office to cancel all BP oil gas cards and close the account with BP oil.
Second?
Mrs. Fowles?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp? Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. Make a motion to approve Resolution 22-205, authorization for Orange Township fiscal officer to close existing Odot escrow bank account ending in account number 29.
Second.
Mrs. Fowles?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes.
Is there one more, or was that a duplicate?
Two for the 29, or is that a repeat?
Looks like it's a repeat. I'm just looking at it
Okay.
real quick. Yeah, it's a repeat.
All right. Administrative report, Ms. Bonnie.
All right, yes, thank you. So some of the team and I will go back and forth on the agenda items, so I'll have Mike go with the first one regarding our mission statement and core values.
Good afternoon, board. So what you have before you, mission statement and core values. So this is a project that actually began, I think, early first quarter in meeting with staff multiple times, reviewing what a mission statement is, the purpose, coming up with one, and then also meeting again to discuss core values, and then bringing that before the board, I don't know, 6 weeks ago, more or less, discussing what we had, taking the feedback, and then editing it. And what you see before you is the recommendation. Be glad to take any questions or comments that you have.
So it says our mission is to serve the residents by offering vital services to enhance their value of life and to support those who work and partner with Orange Township. And the core values, community, we value honest and respectful relationships, both internally and externally. Pride, we value the satisfaction of a job well done. Results, we value accomplishments done with integrity. Development, we value continuous personal and organizational growth. And stewardship, we value the efficient and effective use of resources.
That is correct.
I like it. Very good job.
Any questions?
Nope.
All right. Make a motion to approve Resolution 22-206, adoption of Township mission statement and Township core values.
Second.
Mrs. Fowles?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes.
Thank you, board, and also thanks to the staff. They did a great job.
Appreciate everyone's efforts. Something we talked about for years. Good job.
Next on the agenda is we do have our top candidate for the part-time receptionist position, and her name is Leah Lofrezo. If you have any questions, I'll just have Val answer that as she was part of the interview process.
What do you think, Val?
Leah will be a great asset to our team, and she is a resident of Orange Township.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Make a motion to approve Resolution 22-207, appointment of Leah Lofreso to position of part-time receptionist and establishment of compensation.
Second?
Mrs. Fowles?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes.
Okay, next on the agenda is in a discussion as far as how we want to use our remaining American Rescue Plan for our projects. So I think Lisa Kraft and I have gone back and forth. We've met with the team. So I think last time I discussed this with you, the board, we were going to share all of our hopes and dreams that we would like to use with this money. So we provided that in the backup items. However, after some conversations with Fiscal Officer Kraft and I, we would like to not only, so I guess the bit of a twist to this, so we would like to spend the remaining ARP funds for the Bell Canyon project, phase 1. And the reason why is from a compliance standpoint and auditing, it is easier to handle this all in one project. However, the other items that we have listed here, we would like to still do, but pull it out of the general fund. And we were going to have to do that for Bell Canyon. If we wanted to complete Bell Canyon Phase 1, we would have had to use general fund money for that. So.
We're just swapping which bucket it's coming from, basically.
Yeah, and if I could just add on to that, one of the reasons I made that suggestion about using the funds for Bell Canyon is with the ARP funds, they're very specific, especially given given certain costs of projects. They're very specific that you have to meet Treasury guidelines, federal guidelines for bidding, and a project of this size would definitely meet federal guidelines for bidding. So
So right now, am I correct in thinking that we have spent 202,179 has been spent so far? Is that correct?
Whatever's in today's reports
Okay.
that I haven't emailed out to you guys yet.
Okay. But that's what
That's, yes.
page
200
2.
Oh, is that what?
Yes.
That's what's up.
Okay, there you go.
So basically, we have that 2.897 million to be able to use for that
For
phase
phase
1 of Bill Canyon.
And the right of, are we going to complete the right of way acquisition through this too, Lisa? Are
Yeah, I
you
would
okay with
recommend.
that? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's all part of that
It's all
Bill
part of
Canyon
it. Okay.
cost.
Okay.
So
And we
I guess I could
expect
kind of.
we expect the right of way to be 659.
700 grand is the number I was given.
Okay.
So. That on there.
Yes. So I guess some of the things that if the board decides to go that route to spend the remaining funds on the Bell Canyon Phase 1 project, the other items that we wanted to consider that I just kind of wanted to check the board's temperature on is we've been record scanning. This has been a long time coming, but we would like to enter into an agreement with a record scanning company to scan our records. And we are estimating over, I think it was like 1.8 million documents that need to be scanned. So it's a pretty big undertaking. We're working on a couple quotes, but the estimate for that is about $250,000 for that project. A couple other items. Lexipol is something the fire department has requested. I asked the chief to leave earlier, but and we can provide more information on that. But it's a policy program for the department to just help with trainings, kind of like a sub HR program designed for the fire department. And again, I can share more information on that. And I'm not asking for the board to approve any of these today. I just, if there's something that you have questions on before we formalize all this, I'm happy to address that. The third item on there is fiber extension. So when ARP first came out, seemed like that was the big thing that we could look at was broadband. And we are looking at working with the fiber company that's coming to the township and extending the fiber into the Creekside Industrial Park, as that is kind of where our thriving or new businesses are coming into, or our highest paid jobs. Also, there was discussion, and now we did receive consensus to move forward with a park maintenance facility, and I believe part of that consensus a few months ago was to use ARP funds for that. So that just wanted to keep that in mind that if we don't use the ARP funds, we would be pulling that out of the general for this, and that is $500,000 estimate up to $500,000, 500,000. So I know this is a big conversation, but I just wanted to, again, if there's any temperature checks I can get from you all, but if we move forward with the Bell Canyon as for the whole of ARP, I'd also like to move forward with these other remaining projects too.
And we have the money in the general to cover these other projects.
Yes.
I think we've got to focus on funding infrastructure right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everything we've talked about indicates that we've got to really get serious about that with the improvements we need and the funding and trying to be good stewards of tax dollar. So we've got some things coming up, but as we know, we'll need money before they fully are able to fund what we're looking for. So I'm fine with this and appreciate you all being creative and looking for ways to sustain our current levies and keep us afloat.
So I think if we can get the other, or I'm sorry, there's one other project that we wanted to do, and I think it's in here somewhere, but it's just more aesthetics. But we've been looking at a new trustee table for quite some time, and we originally discussed using the existing wood. Learned that that's pretty big cost to use that type of wood, but we would like to have a new table here, and apparently our chairs are. How do I say this? We bought them used 30 years ago, I think. So, so just some things like that you probably will see on the upcoming agendas. But that's something else we'd like to look into.
Something wrong with the brown duct tape on the table?
And that's to not hurt yourself anymore.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, a former trustee.
Vintage duct tape.
Herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, she too. Two trustees worked themselves on this.
Yeah, let's just,
I'd like to get rid of the pink skirt.
Yes, no more skirt.
The mauve skirt. No, it needs to be a different
But
color.
we got the pink skirt
And
to
the
match with the
chairs.
pink chairs.
Or they can.
Val, you've done a great job making the place look better.
Yes.
I want to commend you for that, first of all, with the logo placements and different desks and everything you've contributed. It's really made an improvement in coming to work and having it look good. It's important, the environment you work in, and the tie-in to culture and morale. So
Yeah,
thank
she's
you.
very good at the coordination, interior
Yes.
decorating and all that.
Yes.
Making people feel good about where they work, along with all of the events that you've put together for the staff, and right in line with our values that we approved today, and making sure that, you know, folks feel good about who they're working with and have an opportunity to interact for an hour or two now and then outside of day-to-day shop talk. It's made a big difference. You can see it and feel it when you're here and when you interact with the team, just as I said earlier with the fire department. So I trust that you'll go on this journey just the same, and we'll be thrilled with the outcome. So thank you for everything you do.
So over the next few weeks, you will see the rest of those items on the agenda. Next on the list, Mike, if you can touch on that regarding Nate Birchfield.
Sure. So Mr. Birchfield was injured at work, and then he was out from March 30th to April 8th. During that period of time, while the claim's being adjudicated, he used his own accrued sick vacation and his comp time. That claim was allowed, so this is a reimbursement of that time that he used.
Pretty standard.
Yes, pretty standard. Yes.
Any questions from the board?
No.
Make a motion to approve resolution 22-208, authorize reimbursement of sick leave hours for public works labor in Nathan Birchfield.
Mrs. Fowles?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes?
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. Make a motion to approve resolution 22-209, authorize reimbursement of comp time leave to injury leave for public works labor in Nathan Birchfield.
Second.
Mrs. Fowles?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. Make a motion to approve resolution 22-210, authorize reimbursement of vacation time to injury leave for public works labor in Nathan Birchfield.
Second?
Mrs. Fowles?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes?
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda is I was not sure how to title this, but
Could we table that one? I did not get a chance to look at that stuff. Could we table it to the special meeting next
Yep.
week? I want to.
What stuff is that?
The historic items.
Oh,
Yes.
I didn't.
no, that's okay. Yeah, Lisa, if you have a second after this, I'll show you.
Yeah, I want to.
Okay, so the last item under administrative report is in regards to our events updates. So with Carolina Flynn getting on board, she has been diligently working on adding some additional events for the township, and we wanted to share them all as a whole for the remainder of the year to the board to just. I would ask for consensus to move forward with these events, and then if the board is okay with the events proposed for the remainder of the year, we will work with our outreach and communications committee to make sure they get done. So Carolina's here if you have any specific questions related to the events, but the backup items show what we've always done in the past, and then we have 4 new ones that we would like to add this year.
yeah, I thought they looked great. I love the continuation of the open house. Always good. The bike parade is great. I know that Glen Oak, where I live across the street, they're trying to coordinate. So this will be nice to just let them know, and we can integrate it, have the kids ride over and participate. And I appreciate the effort to get a few things done around the 4th of July to come up with a creative way to quickly have some celebration in the township. I know we had discussed next year a more robust effort where we kind of restore the parade and the community event type thing. And I think it's right
to host it.
Yeah, and I would like to just note for the record, since I know a lot of our residents have questioned, where is Orange Township doing the parade this year? And fortunately and unfortunately, so the parade was always considered the Orange Township Parade. However, it was hosted by one of our local churches here and a business association at the time. So the township was never involved with the parade itself. However, we are looking at, as to Trustee Grumbles' comment, is to expanding our 4th of July event for next year, but we were notified, we had short notice that the parade was not occurring, so we are able to do something for this year and hopefully to expand on that further next year.
We've got the team too in place here. When you look at the holiday party that we pulled off last year, not we meaning the team, not me. I have full faith that we'll be able to do something that's worthwhile. I reached out to Evans Farm as a potential site. They expressed interest in allowing the use of their neighborhood because it has enough room to facilitate that in one area. We'll have shops there that and tons of parking behind the commercial structures that will help with staging. We got the village across the street with a little bit of frontage there, and they've got the large parking area in the front from the parade of homes still. So they were open to that, and looking forward to meeting the team if that's something the team decides to do. But the reason I reached out to them, to be clear with those listening and the board, we had a relationship with the community garden from a year ago, and they were very helpful in getting a community garden going. Even though we can't go there again, and we've since moved into it, working with potentially the schools and getting something done there. It was, no pun intended, but planting the seed for something the community values and getting people out of the outdoors and back out communicating and partnering and talking and visiting again, getting to know each other. So this is another one. And during our zoning for Evans Farm, Ms. Knapp actually mentioned, and Mr. Eierman, who was presenting for Evans Farm, that the zoning was approved in mind with, and I believe you made the comment that would be eventually like a town center or a way of noting, Lewis Center. What is it? Well, there's a centric point or a gathering place, almost like a downtown, uptown Westerville type of feel, where there's some shops and some residents and slower speeds. And so with that in mind, if we're going to start a parade that the township is going to have a role in, I thought that that location would be best. We don't have to shut streets down. We don't have to go about burdening anybody that doesn't want to participate, and hopefully it works out.
So you would have the parade at Evans Farm?
Yeah. So the idea was looking at the map that phase 1 and 2, the frontal phases will be complete by then. The roads and
By
everything.
next summer?
Yes. So the roads are there now, but they'll have more of the construction done. And so everything will start to move north, closer to the phase 3 in the Berlin area. Mm-hmm. They've got the parade, when the parade of homes, there's a lot of dirt there now.
Right.
They had a massive parking lot in front of the commercial area that's still not filled. They've got a trailer and stuff like that will be migrating as they continue to work north. And so you have to think about parking, right? That was always a challenge, even when it was at Walker Woods. Where do you park? You go to the school and then you walk over.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry, but I just don't want to. I don't want to make any promises for next year, but I definitely want to. If Evans Farm is willing to work with us, I'm happy to. I think we can. It's very feasible for us to expand the event at Evans Farm. I think that's a great central location, but.
I'm not promising anything.
Yeah.
But
Just
just
a
explaining.
concept.
Okay,
Just
concept. I just want to make sure that
explaining
if
where-
something doesn't happen,
Yeah, and I'm not promising. It's just very preliminary. But I wanted to reach out and look for viable options.
Okay.
And with the comment made at the meeting, it made sense to ask them.
Wait, and they said, now, so what, and I haven't formulated any opinion, but is that church planning on doing it next year again?
Well, that's another conversation that we
Do
want to
we
have
know?
with them too, to
Yeah.
see if it was a lack of resources, and maybe that's something we can partner with them.
I'm assuming, and I haven't talked to them, I'm assuming that just because everything was so up in the air, you start planning in January.
Well, and the pandemic hit too,
Well,
so
that's what I mean,
there
like,
was a pause.
You didn't know at that point the cases were high, people weren't planning the parade, and then everything changed. So I'm
If we're going to
assuming
do an
that's
Orange
what it was.
Township parade, I do think that the township should have a seat at that table.
Like, so I think it was
Yes.
called the Old Tangy Parade. Didn't that change to the Orange? It did.
I don't know. Sometimes I've been told that it was called Orange Township.
It was called Orange, but then we changed it like in 2018 to be the Old Tangy Parade. So we wanted to invite people from
Yeah.
surrounding
Everywhere,
communities, all, wherever in the Olentangy
And maybe it
area.
wasn't officially called that, but there is several residents in our community that thought of
The
it as
4th of
the
July thing.
That's
they
because
had
it was
the high
in
school
Orange
was
Township.
Olentangy.
Yeah, that's the Olentangy
That's
Summer
the
Bash.
thing, the thing that was at Olentangy High School.
That was
the
a
July
summer
Yeah,
bash.
so we
2nd,
renamed,
that was-
they renamed in 2018 to be Olentangy.
Summer Bash.
But the parade
Oh,
itself
okay.
was supposed to be the Olentangy parade, because it's, because it's in Orange, but we wanted to get some people from some maybe surrounding communities, I don't know who came. So, and I would be interested in that, I'm just thinking it is nice to have it here with, if there's such a core of residents here, they can just walk to it, so we have to make sure that that was feasible, but it would be nicer overall, I'm just not sure about the.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't really given it.
Yeah, I mean, we just need time to plan it and need to
Yeah,
do something.
I think he's just throwing it out there so we can all chew on it, you know.
Sure.
think about it.
If we
So-
need to shut some roads down, we can.
We can start here and go all the way to the farm.
So I guess for today's purposes, I would like a consensus to move forward with these events listed here, and then, like I said, if these events are the time, dates, or type of event is approved, then we will work with our
So
outreach
some of
committee.
these have already occurred, right?
Yes, there's
Two.
there are four new ones, which is, I mean, I didn't do this, but Carolina did, and I think that's pretty impressive to add 4 of these big events. And she's only been here for 2 months.
And so these,
1.5 months.
so so wait, do we only have, the night swims, are these special night swims versus the regular? Is there one, in the past we did them every other Friday. Are they not every other Friday now?
No, it looks like they're once a month. And these were similar programming from last year, correct?
Yeah, we had 2 additional night swims last year. Without the DJ, we added the DJ, which obviously is an additional cost as well. This year, some of the night swims are being flexed for events, for other events.
Can we, okay, was there any, because for all these years, we did them every other Friday. They're always every other Friday.
Last year
Up
they were,
until-
we can add more back in. It might be
Maybe-
a contractual amendment for CPM.
Yeah,
for
maybe
additional
next
cost for
year.
us, but
Yeah, we just did them, and that way, if there was bad weather on one night, it got canceled.
Yeah,
there's
I
always
think the
another
other
one.
thing because the DJ is,
And the DJ would be special, like.
yeah, but it seems like that's a pretty favorable thing to have at the night swims, and the DJ will be at all the night swims proposed, correct?
So the
Correct.
night swims are currently scheduled for this Friday, June 10th, and then Friday, July 22nd, and then Friday, August 12th.
Correct.
And each of those would have a
There's
DJ.
only 3?
But then we keep in mind, we
had-
also have additional events, special events at the pool. So we,
The drive-in movie.
yes, we've got the dive-in
Really?
movie on July 3rd, Sunday, July 3rd.
So there's.
That'll help us celebrate that 4th of July weekend in addition to our bike parade on Saturday, July 2nd. And then a new event, which is pretty exciting, Saturday, September 3rd. It's an OSU versus Notre Dame tailgate and viewing party at the park in the Aquatic Center. That'll be fun. And then we've got a fire station open house on October 16th, a Veterans Memorial Site dedication on November 11th. We're excited about that one. And then our holiday event on December 4th.
We'll stay busy.
We will. Lots of opportunities for community together, which I think is
Yes.
what the heart of the residents really want. So
Yeah.
different opportunities for different ages and stages of
Yeah.
life.
And especially the ones towards the end, so like the viewing party and the Veterans Memorial, we have not nailed down all the details of those, of course, but we just wanted to say, hey, these are the events that we're holding. It's going to be this day, and then we'll give you the
Save the date on your calendar.
save the dates. Yes.
Yeah.
More details to
And
come.
maybe add an extra one in next year. There's only one event in June, is that right?
We had 2 Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, but there's only
Technically
one.
May, but yeah.
Yeah, but there's only one. in
Yeah,
June.
and I think
We used to do it every other Friday. We
we'll
had
look at
some-
expanding the events,
Especially
for
with
next
so many
season.
people, if everyone goes to one,
Right.
we'll get overcrowded. Yeah, maybe, I'm okay for this year, unless we get some complaints, but maybe next year.
Okay.
Great job, Carolina. Thank you for
Yeah.
your efforts. I'm excited.
Yeah, we used to do the DJ years ago. It was so popular. People loved it. I heard everyone loved this one.
there's a big
People were
turnout.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Right? People loved it.
Did another event I was at, and it was awesome too. It was very good.
Did you go? Oh.
So,
So if we could have the consensus to move forward with the event schedule as presented?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, nothing further on the agenda. Make a motion to approve
Did you
resolution.
have something for Wednesday?
sorry, yes, we have one old business item. Trustee Nat
Oh,
brought
yeah.
this up a couple meetings ago, but I think she
yeah.
wanted to give an update regarding.
I have the final update. So, Michelle, were you able to pull up the
Yes.
sign? Okay, so this, it's actually green, it looks black, but everything that, I think everything that looks black is green. So it matches the logo. Caroline sent the logo stuff over. So this Lewis Center Realty Association does an annual project, and they approached me with what they could do for the township, for our township this year. And they proposed maybe a sign and maybe a bench and some landscaping. But the benches and signs are very expensive. So they opted just to do, signs are extremely expensive. So they had this sign design for the Williamsville Cemetery, which, it's there off by Hidden Ravines, right east of 23. And it's kind of a historical cemetery. We had a bunch of people who were moved from that cemetery after when Allen Creek was being dug. So they decided they wanted to spruce it up a little bit. So they're going to put some small landscaping and some mulch at the front, and then they're going to actually install this sign on Thursday. And Silas, did you put the white flag there to mark the location?
Yeah, I asked staff to do that last week.
Did they? I'm assuming they did. I haven't heard back. So they're going to do just a small ribbon cutting. Let's see, this Thursday at 2:30 p.m. So everyone can come to that. It's not going to be like a big deal. I think just an opportunity, maybe take some pictures after they get done, and maybe they can put it in their newsletter, or maybe we can put it in our Facebook or something.
Do you know how big that sign is? What the dimensions are?
I did know.
Yeah.
Months ago. It is, and it's going to be on posts. It is on cedar posts. It is 3 feet wide by about 2 feet at the at like this part here. The straight part. Yeah, 2 feet. So at the top, let's see, it's probably about 2.5 feet, maybe 2.5 feet at the tallest point. And then it's going to be mounted. You can see these cedar things here. And then actually, well, this is old rendering, so we took this part out because it actually was established like in the 1800s and put the logo on it. That's the original. Yeah, so yeah, thank you for them for paying for that. I mean, I'm assuming it's well over $1,000 and quite a bit of effort amongst them and having their sign designer redesign it. And all the
Thank you
back
for
and forth.
coordinating that. Being our effort.
Yeah, it should be nice. And then Silas and Michelle were saying they might use that template to do other cemeteries as well, or some form of it.
Yeah, we just want, if we were going to construct one on our other cemetery, we want it to be consistent with
That's
it.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, we might add an established sign a little bit lower. We just weren't sure because that was technically established in the 70s, but yet it's historic. It's kind of an unusual situation, the relocation. So everyone is invited to that 2:30.
Thursday, this Thursday?
Yeah, this
At
Thursday,
2:30?
2:30. Yeah, it should be pretty quick. They're just gonna cut a ribbon.
Alrighty. And that's all I believe we have on the agenda.
Make a motion to approve resolution 22-211, meeting adjournment.
Second?
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Hey, real quick, Pete, do we need to like accept that sign or anything, or legally? Do we need to accept that donation? Just now I'm thinking.
I mean, I probably would, yeah.
Would that be okay if I rescinded the motion to adjourn and I made a motion to,
Except the Williams Center.
yeah, what number?
Cemetery sign.
211, and so Pete, how do I formally recall that motion?
Or I guess, was there a second? Oh, there was a second.
Second.
There was a
Sorry.
second.
Just make a motion to rescind.
Motion to rescind resolution 22-211.
Second.
Do I need to take vote on that? Okay. Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes.
Sorry, it just
So
occurred to me.
this will be 212 for the sign, and
Is it-
213 will be adjournment.
Okay, so make a resolution 22-212 to accept the sign, the Williamsville Cemetery sign from the Lewis Center, let me get the name right. Lewis Center Realty Association. Is that good?
Second the motion.
Faster than me. Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. Make a motion to approve resolution 22-213, meeting adjournment.
Mrs. Faust?
Yes.
Ms. Knapp?
Yes.
Mr. Grumbles?
Yes. All right, meeting adjourned.
I'll make sure I.
Hey, Lisa, are there checks?
Thank you. My battery's about to